Yo, what's up everyone? Kevin here. Welcome to the Snowboard Pro Camp live chat. We'll be on here for the next hour or so talking to you guys about snowboarding. And the topic of the channel is the $5,000 snowboard for sale, which is kind of a joke, but it is a real thing. So I just learned that last night. So something kind of interesting. But I thought we could talk about snowboards, other expensive snowboards that are out for sale. But also talk about some of the more budget snowboards as well. So we can kind of cover the full gamut of price range, but on top of that, just answer any of your snowboard questions, just hang out in general. It doesn't have to be about gear. It could also just be about if you guys have any questions about how to improve your snowboarding, other gear, anything about the season, definitely hit me up. But on top of that, if you guys haven't yet, subscribe here to Snowboard Pro Camp, give this video a like, and if you haven't yet, become a member. If you guys want to support the channel, become a member. There's lots of awesome perks. You can send me clips of your riding if you're a member, and I'll give you a video with some feedback on your riding. So that's like one of the main perks. There's a bunch of other stuff too. We do a bonus live chat after this one if you're a member too. So lots of good perks if you become a member here at Snowboard Pro Camp. And let's get started by giving some people some shout outs who got into the chat super early. Bunch of Aussies in the chat because down south, they're in full on winter mode. So shout out to Bad Riders, Luke Hayes. We got Elena in the chat. She's not in Australia, but Elena is in the chat. What's up? We got Kazoo MC. What's up, man? We also got Master Yoda and In Motion SLB. In Motion. Yannick is guessing that it's the Dior snowboard. Close. You're very close, but not quite. Master Yoda is guessing that it's a board from the Burton family. Some of the Burton snowboards get up there, but they're not quite to 5K. Kazoo says it's expensive, more than Project X. Yeah, that's another one too. Who does Project X? Is that Jones? But yeah, let's check out this board. So I think I've got it here somewhere. Let's see if I can bring this up. But yeah, some wild price snowboards out there. Here we go. Let's shrink me down. And it is the Prada snowboard. So Prada makes a $5,000 snowboard. So if you are a baller and you want to ball out, check out the $5,000 Prada snowboard. Let's maybe we can look into this board a little bit. Before I continue, maybe let me know, everyone in the chat, how does the stream look? How does it sound? I'm trying to improve the setup. So let me know how everything is sounding and looking. But yeah, thanks to everyone for hopping into the chat. We got Chewy in there. We got Pat P, Joshua, Laura, Jedi. Yeah, thanks everyone for hopping on. And also, recently I made a video of top 5 new snowboards coming out for this upcoming season. So if you guys checked out that video, maybe let me know. And if you like that video style, can definitely make more videos kind of going through different boards, different board types. I know that one was super fun to make, of all the new snowboards that are coming out for 2024. All right, so it says everything is all good. All right, so let's look into this Prada snowboard and see what you get for $5,000. All right. Let's see if they do have any details about the board. All right, it's a pretty it's a good looking snowboard. You get the green with the yellow and orange flames. The Prada logo up there. Prada on the base. Oh, a big Prada logo with the red line down the center. You may also like some of this other. Ooh, they have Prada goggles. Those look like Oakley's. Oh, they have it's got the prism. Okay, so it's Oakley. Oh, there's another Prada board here too. All right, let's, I wonder if they have some specs. Oh, so the Prada Linea Rosa snowboard, inspired by freeride design and made with eco-sustainable materials. Easy to handle and maneuver, even in the most technical situations. This light, versatile board can tackle all kinds of conditions and was designed for people who want something modern and fresh, whether they're beginners or experts. The texture decorating this board is inspired by geometric graphics and Prada's technical knitwear, creating a luxury bond between techwear and technical gear. Awesome. So freestyle inspired shape, poplar wood core, twin shape, medium flex, skill level, all skill, beginner to advanced, designed for all terrain, eco-friendly, carbon footprint tracking possible. Interesting. It's a limited edition. I mean, so yeah, not too much about the tech inside the board, but the snowboard bag is sold separately. So yeah, some really kind of interesting stuff about the Prada board. So I guess Linea Rosa is the rider. I think she was in the Olympics. Okay, where am I going? I gotta go back to OBS. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. So there it is. It's the Prada snowboard. $5,000. I don't know why that's funny. I guess that is pretty funny. Cool. I guess, yeah, if somebody needs that board, if you need that kind of, if you need that much, I guess there's something for everyone out there, you know. If you've got money to blow, then you can do it on a Prada snowboard. I wonder who makes it though. I guess it is probably made in China. Prada, I guess, is that an Italian company? I wonder if they're affiliated with any snowboard brand. But I mean, don't knock it till you try it. It could be worth the money. I don't know. Chewy says that he's looking to buy a new board setup. Awesome, man. Yeah, this is the time of the season. Jedi wants to know how many days of snowboarding before getting it waxed again. I mean, it kind of depends, but typically it's like every 3 to 4 days you ride, you might have to wax it again. If you're riding more or less, then you can wax it more often or less, but I think like 3 or 4. But every board's a bit different, and every day of riding is a bit different too. So sometimes you'll go riding and it could be just one day of like spring riding, and then you have to wax your snowboard again. So it's something to keep an eye on. And yeah, just I think like eyeballing it is important, but waxing more often than less is a good idea. Like in this past year, in the spring and summer conditions, I probably should have been waxing like every day. So it really does depend. Bad riders don't assume that it's not worth $5,000. It might be worth $5,000. And I think the goal of my season is to ride this board by the end of the season. That would be an achievement for sure. Andrew says, so what are the best ways to tell the difference between bindings, boots, and board when it comes to flex, stiffness, version of the softer board, boots, and bindings? So what are the best ways to tell the difference between bindings, boots, and boards when it comes to the flex? I mean, the way to tell like how like soft or flexible or soft or stiff a boot or a board or a binding is going to be is, I mean, most of them will have it like labeled in the description if like you're doing some shopping online. And you kind of want to match those things across. So if you have a really stiff board, actually, you don't have to match all three, but I think the board and the bindings, the stiffness should be similar. So if you have like a really soft board, then that's the style of riding that you're kind of looking for, a more buttery, playful style of riding. Nothing too like that you need, like you're not going to be flying down the mountain with a really soft board. So then it's like good to have soft and kind of like playful bindings to go with it. The boots are kind of like a different story. I would say if your board and bindings are both really soft, then it's probably like, you probably don't want to have really stiff boots to go with that combo. So then you can kind of go with soft or mid-flex boots. However, if you have like a really stiff board and really stiff bindings, and you're like really advanced, like hard charging kind of rider, I mean, I guess you would want to have like stiffer boots too, but I feel like the bindings can kind of make up for if you do have softer boots. So if you have like softer boots, kind of sometimes like the stiffer binding can actually make up for that softness for you. But yeah, you kind of want to match them up. That's like kind of a good general rule. But yeah, all that information will be either online or like if you go into a store, then the person helping you should know like how stiff something is. And it's good to kind of really get precise with it too. Like know like, oh, this is a 3 out of 10 or this is a 5 out of 10, or because there is a big difference between a snowboard that's like a 7 out of 10 compared to one that is, say, like it says it's a 5 out of 10. You're going to really feel that flex difference. So it's good to kind of get it pretty precise, at least with like a number out of 10. All right. Chewy says, buying a new setup in the summer seems to be cheaper. I'm already looking at some boards. Yeah, there are some like really good deals at the moment online for snowboard gear. I was looking last night on evo.com, and I feel like there's something has like happened because everything is on sale. So they've like just recently, I don't know, I think they've maybe acquired like a bunch of gear, or they found like a bunch of gear that they have that they're trying to get rid of. But there is a lot of snowboard gear that's for sale, like, and like half price. So for sure, like right now, I think is a really good time to buy. If you don't mind buying like last year's gear that's like still new but just came out last year, you can get some like really good deals on snowboard gear. So like 50% off. I saw like Oakley goggles for less than $100. Gore-Tex like pants and jackets for less than $200. And yeah, snowboards too for like pretty cheap. So there's like definitely some deals going on. I wonder if I can put the chat into the window here. That could be cool. Let's see if I can do that. Actually, I don't think I can. All right, let's try that for a while. Oh, sweet. All right, so we got the chat in. All right, that makes it more fun. All right, what do you guys think? What do you guys think about having the chat in the window? Is this a good idea? Daniel says, do you ever come ride in BC? Saving for a sled to do more backcountry. Next year, I'm grabbing up a split board. Yeah, I mean, I spent most of my time riding in Whistler, about almost 20 years of snowboarding in Whistler. And I've rode in Revelstoke a couple times. Last year this past season did a trip to Whitewater. I've been to Fernie, Red Mountain, so all over BC. So yeah, I've done quite a bit. This upcoming season, I think I might spend the season in Utah. That's kind of like the plan at the moment. But yeah, my home base for the last like 20 years has been mainly Whistler. And right now I'm in Vancouver. So yeah, quite a bit of snowboarding in BC. So I've ridden the local mountains and Grouse and Seymour and all that. Daniel says, what's the preference on K2? I haven't ridden many K2s. So yeah, last year I went with just an all K2 setup. I got the K2 After Black and also as my park board and the K2 Excavator for POW, just to try them out. And I was like super impressed with both. I love both of these boards. And just thought I would try it out, and they didn't disappoint. K2 After Black is a really good, a bit stiffer of a park board. Like I would say it's like a 6 out of 10, twin shape, camber dominant, and just gives you lots of energy out of the board for like ollies and nollies, and good stability, good on rails, good on jumps. So I'm 200 pounds and I'm 6'3", and I got the 159 wide for my park board. And then for the Excavator, this side, it's a POW board. So it's got I think it might have a 20 millimeter taper. So much wider nose, smaller tail, floats super well in POW. It's a bit stiffer. So like at high speeds, it feels super good for landings and directional board. So yeah, love both of these boards. Bad Riders with the super chat. Awesome. Thank you, Bad Riders. Says, members chat topic. Of all the new binding tech, which one did you vibe with the most? Also, fun topic. What's the most expensive board in your quiver? Oh, those are two fun topics for the members chat. Which one did I vibe with the most? Bindings, binding tech. Yeah, last year I got to try out a bunch of bindings, tried out the Nidecker, what are they called? I can't even remember what they're called now. The Nidecker, somebody will help me out with this. Got the Burton Step-Ons, tried those out. I've tried out the Now Skate Tech. I've tried out, and a bunch of bindings too that have lesser tech in them. But what are those Nidecker called? I can't even remember what they're called now. iJedi says, is it worth getting my own waxing equipment, or should I see reviews of the tuning area on the resort and do it with them if the reviews are positive? I kind of do both. At times, if I'll drop it off somewhere, I'll probably ask ahead of time, like just what the price is, because I don't want to pay a ton of money. But asking ahead of time, it's hard. There's probably not great reviews out there, I don't think, because the turnover is probably pretty high in terms of places that do waxing. But sometimes I'll drop it off at a place if it's a reasonable price. But I think it is a good idea to have your own waxing tuning kit with the iron, waxes, scrapers, all that kind of stuff, and just do it yourself most of the time, because it'll just get too expensive trying to drop off your board to get waxed every time you need it. Because it could be like 15 or 20 times a season, and let's say that's $40. That could run you like $800 in the season to get your board waxed. So definitely I would recommend doing it yourself most of the time. And maybe if you're on like a trip, or you forget or whatever, then you can it can kind of be as like a backup. And it's kind of fun, like waxing and tuning your own board too. Once you get into it, it's pretty fun. Pat says, what are the pros and cons of cylindrical versus spherical goggles? Frame versus frameless? Oh, that's a really good question. That could be actually a video idea. To be honest, so I've ridden both cylindrical and spherical goggles. And if you guys don't know the difference, cylindrical is basically, it's kind of like the shape of a pop can. So it's that one-sided curve, and the spherical is more like a bubble. And I think the idea is that spherical goggles, when you're looking out of a sphere, your view is like not distorted at all, and it's supposed to be like a more clear view with like no distortion. And they say that you do get some distortion with a cylindrical kind of like that pop can, just one curve look. But for me, like I've got the Anon M4s. Those are cylindrical, and I've also ridden, which are very similar, the Oakley flight deck, which are spherical, and I can't notice the difference like at all. So to me, those are like, they're the same. I'm sure there could be differences with like cheaper lenses, but from my experience, I can't notice any difference between cylindrical and spherical. My personal preference is the cylindrical, just because I find with the cylindrical, they can actually fit, that like a lot of the designs fit a bit closer to your face. And to me, that's the most important thing, that the lens isn't too far away from your face, because the further it goes away, then the more of the frame you see. That happens if the goggles are too small as well. If the goggles are too small, you're going to see the frame, or if they're too far away from your face and big, you're going to see the frame and you're going to feel like you're looking through like a periscope. So in terms of cylindrical versus spherical, I haven't noticed a difference. And then frame versus frameless, same. I think you don't notice a difference, because with frameless, it's just kind of like a marketing thing, because the lens is just basically going over top of where the frame would be. So that doesn't make any difference at all either. Yeah, that makes zero difference. What's the most important things is that, to me, is that the goggle is big enough for your face. So like not too big, but not too small, just getting that right size, that it's sitting close enough to your face so that you can't see the frame too much, and that the goggles are not, like the way they sit on your face is like comfortable as well. So if you have like a medium sized nose, then most goggles are going to fit. If you have a large nose, then you might want to try on some goggles just to make sure they fit with your nose. And then if you have a flat nose, you want to there's like a certain type of, there's like goggles that have extra foam at the nose area. It's like a whole separate category of goggle to kind of like help fill in some of that space that if you have a really small nose. So those are like the main things you want to check out. And then on top of that, make sure you get like the right lens. It's good to have two lenses at least, one for sunny days and one for cloudy days. Bad Rider says, Kevin must work hard for those turns on a 159 wide. Honestly, I don't even notice the wideness anymore. And it, if anything, it just helps with the turns, because I don't have any like heel or toe drag, even though my boot size is 9.5. Even with a 9.5 boot, sometimes I would get like a little heel or toe drag. So having the wide board and being like if you're like a light person, like, 180 or lower or 170 and lower, then the normal width board is fine. But I think like the heavier you get to, like, so I'm 200. So I feel like that extra width actually just supports my weight a little bit better too. Chewy says he would 100% become a member if he could pay for it. Awesome. Thanks, Chewy. Appreciate it. Well, just like subscribing and hanging out in the chat is definitely enough. But if anyone's interested, if you want to become a member, there's two tiers. There's a $20 tier and there's a $5 tier. And even with the $5 tier, you get access to the bonus chat. You get access to sending me videos. So if you want me to review your riding and give you any feedback, you get that with the $5 tier as well. So, but yeah, if you can't afford either one of those, just subscribing to the channel, checking out the content, that's huge as well. Jesse Varga with the super chat says, where in Utah? I'm from Cali, but I've spent the last 2 winters in Utah. Last year was epic. I'm working on making it happen again this year, even from downtown Salt Lake City. You're less than 30 minutes from any resort. That's awesome. So I think the plan is to move someplace in Salt Lake City, I think, and then ride at Brighton. So that, I think, get the Icon Pass and ride Brighton. Or there's like the Brighton, some kind of like special Brighton super pass or whatever that allows you, kind of gives you some of the perks of the icon. So we can check out some of the other resorts too. But yeah, Jesse Varga, appreciate the support. And if you have any advice on where to ride in Utah, if you think we should ride someplace else, let us know. Mike says the Supermatic. Oh yeah, I did ride the Supermatics this year too. Victor says, have you tried a company called Vimina from Norway? I have not, but yeah, Vimina snowboard. I've heard of them. I've never tried out a board, but yeah, it would be cool to check out a Vimina snowboard one day. Jedi, what about the toric lens from Anon? Yeah, I don't really, what is toric? What is a toric? Thoughts on the, Chewy says, thoughts on the Jones Ultra Mountain Twin Snowboard, worth buying? Yeah, it could be worth it. So the Mountain Twin, I think it's like the stiffer, probably more beefed up carbon version of the regular Mountain Twin. So like, yeah, park all mountain board. Yeah, if you need that ultra version, go for the ultra version. It's probably going to be stiffer and more higher, maybe a better quality base, but there's also the regular Mountain Twin too. What's up, Marcin? Thanks for hopping on. Daryl says, looking at getting the excavator, I see they suggested dropping a board size, but you got the 162 wide. Would you stick with that size? Again, I'm 85 kilograms, 6'1", size 10 boots, and was looking at the 158. So 85 kilograms. So what does that make in pounds? Is it 2.2? 160. It's like, so you're about around 200 pounds as well. I mean, I like the 162. I mean, I think when companies suggest going shorter, like the board, you probably could be fine with the 158. But in my opinion, when you are like, yeah, riding, like hauling through some powder, I prefer like having that longer length, like no matter what. Because even if the board's wider and gonna like that surface area is still gonna keep you floating on top. If you're riding at high speeds, you really want to have like good stability, like forward and backwards. And the shorter the board gets, even if it does get wider, if it gets shorter, you're gonna have less stability like over your nose or tail. So if you want to like ride with speed through powder, hit any drops, things like that, I recommend the bigger size. If you're more into like if your riding style is more like just cruisy and slow, then maybe go with the smaller, the 158. So I think, yeah, it's up to you, but I would say, yeah, if you're riding speed is just on the slower side, 158. If you want to go faster, I'd go 162. But yeah, good choice on the board, man. That's, yeah, the excavator is awesome. Yo, Justin Visey's in the chat. Thanks for hopping in, Justin. Oh, Justin has some advice too for goggles. Try them on with a helmet. Yeah, for sure. That's huge. Awesome. And Chewy was saying that he wasn't feeling well the other day and now yesterday, and now he's better. Awesome, man. That's good to hear. Becky says, what's a beginner snowboard? So snowboard companies, most of the boards that are the lowest price boards in their lineup are typically the good ones for beginners. So a good beginner board is something first that costs the least amount of money, a board that has a softer flex. So when you're a beginner, you don't want like a really stiff board because it's not going to be that forgiving. So something that's softer. So if the range is 1 to 10, 10 being the stiffest, you want to go with something that's like a 3 or 4. And then also something, I mean, this is getting a little bit technical, But in snowboarding, you have positive camber. So positive camber is like, if you can imagine, if the board's lying flat, the lowest parts of the board are at the end, and in the middle it kind of rises up away from the snow. That's positive camber. And there's also the opposite, which is reverse camber. So kind of like a board, if it was sitting flat, it'd kind of be like a teeter-totter. And so it's almost got like a smile shape to it. So you don't want the full smile, but you want something, a board flex that has some reverse camber that when it gets towards the end. I mean, maybe I can pull that up actually. Let's go online and pull that up. All right, so we're in Evo. Let's go to snowboards and we'll go to lowest price and we will find, let's go for men's and women's. Can we go to new arrivals? Okay, so something like, let's just for fun go to the K2 Vandal. All right, so this is $319. So this is coming at some smaller sizes. So I think this could be a women's board. So flex rating is a 2. And this is the shape right here. So I wonder if I can I zoom in on that? I don't think I can zoom in. But yeah, if you guys can see that right there, then you've got, so it's flat and then rocker towards the tips. So these black sections are the rocker, and that's what you want in a beginner board. So that makes it less catchy. So as you're riding around, you're gonna have like a lot less, when you're doing your turns, the turns are gonna come around easier and they're not gonna be as catchy because of that reverse. This one's a true twin snowboard as well, so that you can ride it in either direction, so you can figure out if you're goofy or regular. Let's check another board. Let's go back. Let's get this girl's board. The Roxy Dawn snowboard. So this one is $439 Canadian. So soft flex, and right here, rocker type, early rise. So that's really good. And same thing, so it's flat under your feet and then it's rocker towards the tips. So it's gonna make it less catchy. It's a soft flex, it's a twin as well, so you can ride it in either direction. So those are some things to look for in a beginner board. Let's try one more. Let's check out a Nidecker, the Nidecker Score. That one's kind of expensive though. That might not be a beginner board. See, I think this is getting into the intermediate territory. So it's a bit more expensive. So yeah, flex rating is a 5. So it is starting to get more intermediate to it, even advanced. And then you're getting a bit more camber. So you see this like rise, how it rises up in the middle. So there is a bit more camber. It does have rocker, so it's going to be a bit more catch free. But this is where you start getting into the more intermediate style of snowboard. Let's find one more beginner board. So I think the Solomon Sleepwalker is, I think this one's an intermediate as well, intermediate park board. So this one has, you can see right here, profile, rocker at the tips, there's a bit of camber, and then flat in the middle. Flex rating of 4. So this one is like an intermediate board. So I did click on new, but we can check out the Nitro Prime Raw snowboard. So this one is the Nitro Prime Raw, $399, definitely beginner snowboard. So you can tell, so flat out rocker. So this one is flat board that is rocker out towards the tips. It's soft. It's I think it's a twin. So directional twin. So there you go. So there's a few different options to choose from for like a beginner snowboard. So yeah, I hope that helped. But yeah, it's kind of tricky with shopping online, especially when you are new to snowboarding. But I hope that helps. Doug says, speaking of goggles, anyone ever try the photochromatic lenses? Do they change well with the lighting conditions? I've never tried, but yeah, if anyone has tried those out, let us know. Evelyn with this $10 super chat. Awesome. Thank you so much, Evelyn. Really appreciate the support. And you've sent me a flying pair. Awesome. Daryl says you should definitely check out Mount Rupehu when you're out. Best season at Taroa in at least 5 years so far. And everyone likes riding an active volcano. Oh, wow. Yeah, maybe we'll have to check that out. That sounds awesome. iJedi, so this is a good question. Should I max out the forward lean on my bindings if I'm a beginner to get us to the responsiveness from the start? So with forward lean on your binding, I wouldn't max it out, but I would set it forward a little bit. I think when I was teaching beginners to snowboard, the first thing, like the most important thing, is setting up the board properly. So I would say half of the people that would turn up for lessons, they wouldn't have their board set up right. And just by like making a few tweaks, it made like all the difference in the world. So making sure that your stance is set up right, but then that your high back, so if your high back is 0, so the high back on your binding, if this is 0, let's get it here, straight up and down. And if the most you can set it forward is like a 6, that's usually at 0, and then max is 6. I would go like halfway. I would do like a 3. Like a 3, I think, is a good sort of like halfway point. So if you can set your high back halfway forward, then it gives your like responsiveness on your heels, like so much more responsiveness. And it's going to make heel turns a lot easier heel sliding. So I do recommend not maxing it out, but sending your high backs halfway forward for sure. Bad Rider says, yeah, it's interesting looking at beginner shapes and how many are directional twin. Yeah, I think that is also because it's easier when you're a beginner to have a smaller tail. So if the tail of the board is smaller, that makes like your beginner turns like so much easier. So yeah, huge tip too, setting up your bindings. Set up your board so that your tail is like noticeably smaller than your nose. That's going to make your turns so much easier. Kazoo says that flat rocker construction makes sense for beginners. Yeah, it totally does. Sweet. Did I miss any questions? Let's go back and put the chat. All right. So if anyone's tuning in a little bit late, the $5,000 snowboard is the Prada Linea Rosa snowboard. And at the moment, it is sold out in 147, but you can still pick it up in a 151 or 156. Let's add it to the shopping bag and see what happens. Oh, look at that. So it's 5,000 Canadian. So I guess the title was a bit, I should have put that in the title, 5,000 Canadian, but that's a big purchase. And yeah, you can check this out on the Prada website. It's kind of cool. Oh, there's another one too. We haven't checked out this one yet. Oh, so I would probably go for this style. The zebra Prada. This is pretty cool actually. Yeah, that zebra kind of design, the red Prada stripe. Oh, wow. And then you can get Prada goggles as well. I mean, so these look just like, these are Oakley goggles with just the Prada branding, $805. Really cool. So if you see someone on the mountain with this on, they're balling out. Oh, you can get a polyester jacket, wool scarf. Yeah, but this is pretty wild. let's get back to the questions. Yeah, shout out to Evelyn for the super chat. Yeah, John Doe says, yeah, I wonder who really makes the board. Yeah, that's I'm curious. I wonder who actually makes that board, if it's a Burton board or who makes it. So iJedi says Google says that a 1/2 to a 3/4 inch boot hang on toes and heels over the board shouldn't be a problem when doing turns. What is your opinion on that topic? I think that, I've never measured it myself, but so for me, I think, so every board that is just a regular, like normal width board, I think they recommend that if you have boots that are size 10.5 and over, then a regular width board is going to be too narrow. But regular width boards are different from brand to brand. So some boards are naturally going to be a little narrower, and some are a little bit wider just naturally too. So that's something to keep in mind. So for example, I think that, yeah, like I can't actually off the top of my head, I'm not really sure, but like let's say if you took a Capita regular width board and a Burton regular width board, the widths aren't going to be the same just with their normal boards. One's going to be a little narrower and one's going to be a little bit wider. So if you strap in your, say, size 10 boots into one of those boards, on one it's going to be fine, and one you might feel a little bit of heel or toe drag. So for me, I think that if you have like size 10 boots and over, it's just to be safe, it's better to go so there's also mid-wide. So yeah, there's quite a few brands that offer mid-wide boards in certain models. So you could go for that. And then let's say if your boots are over size 11 or 12, then you definitely want to go for a wide board. So it's not so much about like getting out a tape measure and measuring your boot with every board, but it is worth just kind of like as a general rule, getting a mid-wide, like knowing that you need a regular mid-wide or wide. And yeah, definitely I think if your boot size is under 10, you should be fine with most regular width boards, but it's also worth kind of comparing just to make sure that it's not made like just a little extra narrow for no reason. So yeah, some info there for you. Victor says, can you please answer my earlier question? Victor, maybe just ask it again, man. I'm sorry I missed it. Victor, I think this is yours. When I just wear my boots, I don't have any foot problems. But when I start snowboarding, my feet hurt so bad. Any tips? Yeah, unfortunately, it could just be the boots themselves. From my experience, anytime my feet have been hurting in boots, it's because I just got the wrong boots. And yeah, that's a tough question, but I would say that the boots, the brand that I've found that work really well are Vans. I get Vans with traditional lace bindings, and I find that I haven't had any feet or foot pain since having those. So 3 brands that I've worn that haven't given me any foot pain have been Vans, Adidas, and what was the third? Let's say Vans and Adidas, and across those, anytime I've gotten a traditional laced boot, my feet have been fine. Any brand that I've gotten that has BOA and a stiffer boot have always given me foot pain. So, talk to friends, ask other people you snowboard with, what they think of their boots, how comfortable are they, then try boots on. I know it's like you said, you put boots on and they don't give you any foot pain just when you're wearing them. But if you walk around the store for a half an hour, like leave the boots on for like a long time until basically they kick you out of the boots. Just make sure they're like comfortable on your feet. If you have any foot pain in the store, I wouldn't recommend getting them because yeah, it's very common in snowboarding to have foot pain. And don't let anyone like sell you on snowboard boots too. Like a few times, 3 or 4 times from my experience, like I've just left it up to like somebody I thought, and I'm sure a lot of people know what they're talking about, but when you just listen to the advice of somebody trying to sell you boots too, a lot of times that can get you into trouble and with foot pain as well. So make sure it's like comfortable. Ask friends what boots they find comfortable. But for me, like softer traditional lace boots have been much more comfortable on my feet. All right. Jaden says, I'm looking to do working holiday coming from England and working at Whistler. Would be great. First full season. What happened to the rest of your question? It's kind of disappeared. Jaden, that's awesome. Yeah, you're going to have a blast. Whistler is like a super fun place to work. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Andrew, thanks for hopping on the chat, man. Appreciate it. Buttery, what's up? The Prada snowboard is 2,500 pounds in Britain. Okay, interesting. In Canada, it's 5,000 Canadian dollars. Buttery says, do people ride wide boards with a 9 shoe? I think 9 is okay for a regular width. I think 9 definitely regular. Chewy says, what bindings would go well with the Jones Ultra Mountain Twin snowboard? Yeah, I mean, there's like a few pairs of Jones bindings too. So maybe look at some of the Jones. I've never ridden any Jones bindings, but maybe check some of those out. Yeah, Kazoo saying that a wide board feels less agile. That can definitely be the case sometimes, yeah, where you don't feel as agile with the wide board. But honestly, for me, like it's something I got used to pretty quick, and I don't even notice it at all anymore. And Kazoo says, I pre-ordered the High Standard Pros, referring Kev's review. Awesome. Awesome. Kazoo, I hope you like them. But yeah, I love the Vans High Standard Pros. Those are awesome boots. Yeah, especially if you get the right size. And yeah, traditional laces to me are the way to go. Robert says, can't find the Battalion Boss anywhere online. You can't find it anywhere. Let's check it out. Let's see if we can find the Battalion Boss. Let's try it here. Oh, 0 results. There you go, Sea to Sky Sports. There's a couple here. It could be, I don't know if this is a Canadian or American site, but yeah, there's one option for you. Daryl says, some stance angles can make boots hurt, I find. BOA is so hard to not crush your feet. Feel good on on, but then riding always tend to crank them up too high. Yeah, that was the problem I had too. But yeah, you can kind of like adjust your stance too to try to like find a stance that works better with and makes your feet feel better. So loosening your boots, having looser bindings, or changing your stance, those things can kind of help relieve some of that foot pain. Bad Rider says, what bindings should you wear with a Prada board? Yeah, I guess Prada doesn't have bindings. I mean, the most expensive bindings you could find. Go with the most expensive binding for sure. Doesn't matter what kind, just whatever is the most expensive. Victor, is it advisable buying used equipment? I think it's fine to buy used equipment, just as long as that used equipment isn't too old or like too like beat up. Because what you don't want is to get a board that's like damaged somehow or just like worn out. So those are the things to look out for, any kind of damage, or just like if a board that's been ridden for like 10 years is just going to be completely useless or not worth anything. So if you can get a really good deal on something, then that's one thing. But yeah, just make sure hasn't been worn too much or is damaged. Andrew says, Northwave is my favorite snowboard boot because they don't give me any foot pain. And have you ever tried them before? No, I've never tried Northwave. To be honest, I feel like I don't see Northwave boots anywhere. Is it Andrew, where are you? Is that a European company? Where is Northwave based out of? Corey wants to know, have you ever ridden Never Summer? I've never ridden a Never Summer board. Victor, can bindings be the cause of foot problems? I mean, if you ride your bindings too tight, I can definitely see that. But more typically, it's the boot. Sweet, awesome. Cool, guys. So I'm going to hop off of the chat, but thanks everyone who came on here to hang out and asking questions. Big shout out to everyone who dropped a like on this video, everyone that did the super chat. Appreciate the support. And yeah, big shout out to just everyone that's been hopping on here. I can feel like the snowboard season ramping up. So it's a pretty exciting time. I'm going to be in New Zealand next month snowboarding, so super excited about that. And yeah, it's cool to see all the new snowboard gear coming out as well. I think I'm gonna have some videos coming out shortly for you guys on gear. So if you have any requests about videos you want me to make about snowboard gear, definitely just let me know down in the comments. I'm gonna hop over to the bonus live chat for all the members. If you guys want to support the channel and become a member, hit that join button. There's two tiers, $5 and $20. And the $5 tier gets you access to the bonus chat, and also to, if you want to send me in any snowboard footage of you riding, I can give you some feedback and coaching on your riding with a reply video. But yeah, thank you guys all for hanging out. Hope you have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you guys next Friday. Awesome. See you guys.